Hmm?
So there are 4 main pieces that we have. I have my bridle, the breast collar, the saddle, the cart, and on the cart, these 2 long pieces are called the shafts. This is called the hold back loop, this little piece of metal. This is the seat, and this is called the swingle tree. This is the saddle, and this is the breast collar. So I'm going to go over what the pieces on the saddle and the breast collar are and what you do. So on the saddle, this whole piece is called the saddle, and these are called the tugs or the shaft loops. This is the cinch or the belly band that goes underneath our stomach. It's like a belt to keep the saddle on. And then there's the shaft wraps, and this will help the shafts from moving while you have the cart on. And then that connects right here. This is called a back strap, and that runs down their back. And then you have hip or loin straps, and that's going to run down the side of their hindquarters, their butt. And then this is the crupper, and this goes underneath their tail, and that's to help keep the saddle from sliding up on them. And then this is the breeching, and the breeching is your brakes. So when you stop, these will hug the horse's butt, and that'll keep the cart from hitting them in the back of the butt. And then we have the breast collar, and this is what the horse uses to pull. This goes on their chest, and these will attach to the hooks on the swingle tree. And when you put this on, you want to make sure it's just about in the middle of their chest, because that's where they're going to pull best, and that's what's most comfortable. And you can also see that we have pads on here, and these pads come off, and a lot of people take the pads off because they think it looks nicer, but we want our horses to be comfortable, so we have nice pads for them because we want them comfortable. So now I'm going to show you how to put the harness on the horse. And usually before you put the harness on your horse, you would brush them, but we were in a rush, we forgot the brushes. And then you would pick their feet.
We were
and
in
you
a
want to
brush.
get the rocks and stuff out of their feet, because that's like walking with rocks in your shoes. It's uncomfortable. And our main priority is always that we want them to be comfortable. So now we're going to saddle up. So you want to make sure that when you're saddling, the horse knows you're coming. So you talk to him, you make noises, make sure that he's comfortable. And then you want to be on the left side. And you put the cinch over, and then you can just lay the breeching and the back band along here. And the saddle should sit right, this bump right here on his neck is called the withers, and it should sit right behind the withers. And then you want to tighten up the cinch. And the cinch shouldn't be too tight. It's like a belt. You don't want your belt too tight. That'll hurt. And always when you're cinching up, especially in the winter time when the horses are furry, you want to make sure that when you cinch them up, they don't have any hair inside the buckle. That's uncomfortable. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to leave the breeching here for now, and you want to leave the tail on the inside of the breeching. And then the crupper, like I said, goes underneath the tail, so you unbuckle one side, you lift the tail up, that goes under, and you put the rebuckle. Okay, then you want to put your breast collar on. And you're still on the left side, so put this side of it over his back so he's not stepping on it. And then you want to just be halfway with his chest. And we already have the holes punched, so they're fitted for him. And then these can just go up for now while you're waiting to put your cart on. And then you have your cart, and you want to make a nice big wide turn. Make sure he still knows you're coming. And then you want to come just straight up behind his butt. And you're putting the shafts on both sides, inside the loops first, inside the tugs. And that should be just about right here. It goes on the curve of the shaft. and that's where it'll hold it in place. And then you want to attach the belly, the shaft wraps. And those you're going to wrap in a figure 8 fashion around the shaft. And if you can see, it'll move like this if you don't have the straps on, and that's a problem when you're karting. So if you put this on, both sides, and that's going to keep your shaft and your cart from moving while your horse is attached. And then you want to take these are the hold back straps, and that's going to keep the breeching hugged up on his butt so it's not flopping around and doing nothing. So you're going to put that through the hold back loop, and you don't want it super tight, just enough that it make sure that it's not all free and doing nothing. And then you want to grab the traces, and you should have his head up for this. And then these go back, and there shouldn't be a whole bunch of slack. There should be a little bit, but you want to make sure that he's pulling with his breast collar and not from his saddle, because that's the most ergonomic for the horse, and that's what they're supposed to do. And the traces are going to go on the inside of the, in between his belly and the front. They're going to do that on the other side. There you go. And then the last piece is the bridle and the rein. Put it back because we had it custom made for him, and it has real copper on it. And when we work the horses, they get sweaty. And what'll happen is if we keep it in the box with the rest of the stuff, when it's moist like that, it'll start to rust. So these are your reins. They're very long because you want to be able to reach from his head all the way to the back of the seat. And so this whole piece is called the bridle. This right here is called the brow band. This will go right above his eyes. And then underneath is the throat latch that'll go under his neck, and that's to keep it in place and back so it's not in his eyes. And this is called a cavesson, which is a piece we had put on here. And this is so that it helps us with control, so he can't refuse the bit, so he has to listen. And so once your whole setup is here, you've double checked it, you make sure everything is clean, everything is where it's supposed to be. You take the halter off halfway, so you're just going to slide this part off of his nose, and it's going to go back on his neck. And this is so he can't escape while he doesn't have a halter on his face. And Alexander's a baby. Dumb. For now. And so, when you put the bit on, you put your 2 fingers on the inside of the bit, your thumb and your middle finger, and you're going to put them in the corners of his mouth, and that's to help him understand that you're going to put a bit in his mouth. So he's prepared for it.
Did he bite you?
Yes. Famous at our ranch for having a little mohawk because his forelock isn't long enough to come through here, so he just kind of has puffballs whenever we put this on. And so you're gonna Make sure that it's not in his face. Far enough back.
Is someone Snapchatting this really?
And then you're gonna attach the throat latch. And the throat latch you don't want it to be tight because that'll be, you want him to be able to breathe. And then you're gonna grab your reins. And those are gonna go in what's called the rein keepers, another piece on the saddle. And that's to keep the reins in the right place so that your horse doesn't get the reins tangled up. And, you know, because you want to be nice and neat with everything you do with these horses. So you can put the ends on your seat. You don't want them on the floor. And then you put these through the rein keepers. And these attach right to this loop underneath the cabochon, right here, straight onto the bit. And once you have your reins and the rein keepers and everything is where it should be, then you can go ahead and take this off. And then your horse is saddled. And I'm gonna get on it just for a minute.
What's the weight limit on the cart?
They can pull twice their weight. So he's about 300 pounds, so 6.
Oh, okay, wow.
So you want to make sure that you have contact so he knows you want him to stop. And then once he's stopped, you can get in the cart. And then you hold your reins. And you can ask him to go.
Oh my god, you should put your man ponytail down.
Well, we rescued him, so he was free.
Wow.
Well,
He'll cost a fortune as you go
up front.
along.
He was free. And Leo was, how much was Leo?
3,000.
Leo was 300.